We hear a lot of talk about improving the state of our humanity, the state of our planet, improving upon nature, basically, to outsmart nature. The media and the powers that be are even trying to, rather successfully, to infuse into the psyche, into the subconscious mind of the public themes like transhumanism, combining our human body with technology, with AI and things like that, putting chips into the brain, and other agendas that are now no longer mere conspiracy theories, they're facts. Even a couple of years ago, they were considered to be conspiracy theories, but now they're openly being discussed in forums, in places, and unelected individuals not representing any groups of people other than the powerful elite, but no representation of the masses, the middle class, the lower class, even though those two definitions of classes are so inappropriate and so demeaning to life, to the human potential. Nevertheless, ideas of and plans of reducing the population of the planet openly, anthropologists like Jane Goodall, someone that was a very respectable person, gets on World Economic Forum and starts saying how the state of affairs of human beings, the state of this planet could be actually improved if we were to go back to the way, the number that we had as a population 500 years ago. If we were less in number. How could someone say such a thing? How could someone who's been involved with saving animals say such a ludicrous, such a stupid, careless thing? What a disappointment for having benefited from this good earth to reach that age, but she's not the only one. So when we hear all these things about, oh, we're improving, oh yes, this is the Great Reset, oh yes, very notable, very well-known celebrities, powerful people, now openly speaking, advocating, they have become the broadcasting station to tell the rest of us, this is what's going to happen and you're going to deal with it. And this is for your own good. Sounds familiar? Every single totalitarian regime, fascist regime, had the same approach to impose their own non-virtuous, self-centered ideologies upon the masses, upon nature, where even killing of human beings is now openly being discussed for the sake of the better good, whatever that means, because it has nothing to do with the truth. The climate is actually not going through these drastic changes as they're making it up to be. Climatologists, real climatologists with the backing of science, are discussing this, but you will never see them on mass media. You will not see them on you will never hear them. You will never, unless you actually go out and explore and look for them. Otherwise, whatever's coming knocking on your door is just a bunch of lies. We must be utilizing our intelligence, our wisdom, our capacity to discern. Unfortunately, many of us are not doing that. We're just following along with the herd. Each individual is responsible to keep the channels of wisdom working, so that we do not lose our humanity. And that's where we're headed. We have to be very careful not to lose our humanity. Nature, if it needs to be improved upon, starts with the efforts of each individual working on themselves. You do not need to go to Mars. You do not need to get Neuralink implanted into your brain so that you can become a better human being. No, start with building virtue in your character. Something that none of these individuals on these World Economic Forum and all these people, Elon Musk and all these individuals who are running the show at the moment, have a clue as to how to do it. There's so much vulgarity, there's so much unwholesome behavior in them, in their character, in their actions. But then again, they have manuals printed, they have these agendas, they have these different articles and blogs posted. And when you look at them, when you read them, it sounds so fluffy and nice and so compassionate towards nature, towards humanity. And they use so many flowery words. But when you look at the actions, at the spreading of all kinds of diseases around the planet. Oh, you need this, you need to have this done to you so that you can keep your body healthy. Well, none of these things were necessary to get our ancestors to this point. There's a thing called immunity, immune system. It's called an immune system because it protects us. It has protected us. So en masse, people have become hypnotized. And one of the best ways to keep people sedated, other than the methods that are in place right now, through the food, through the weather changes that they're manipulating, the things they're injecting into the skies, into the clouds, into the food we eat, into the water we drink. Other than these things, there's also the massive level of lies that we're exposed to. And that is quite dangerous for them, for them. Because to look at just this life as the only thing, it's quite, at the very least, very short-sighted. Because there are other states of being. And energy can never be destroyed, nor created, as it says in the law of thermodynamics. It can simply change its phases, it transforms, it transfers its state into something else, but it is moving. So if a person is living non-virtuously, if a person does not have the welfare of the other person in mind, the welfare of this planet in mind, no matter whatever your agendas are, every action produces a reaction, right? That's something we get from Newton, but long before that. We know that through the law of karma, or kamma. Action, reaction. So nothing goes away, nothing disappears, nothing gets eliminated. So the negative, harmful intentions, such as reducing the population of the planet. By the way, that's another thing of mangling the English language. Reducing the population. What does that mean? People are just going to get, like, you hit a button and they just disappear? Or you're going to be responsible for the killing of people, the elimination of people. They use these soft language tactics to present to the masses, and the people are not shocked. No one is standing up, no one's raising a finger and saying, what is this? How come people are not standing up for the blatant unwholesome behavior? And no one is keeping them or making them accountable. There is no kind of calling them to justice, to face what they said. And this is happening in less than 10 years, where people used to be persecuted for things that people thought they might have said. And now you have people who are actually doing what they say they had planned to do, and it is deplorable. It is very unwholesome. It is damaging, it is hurting, it is harming, and it is the killing of other human beings and other animals. En masse. Animals are being slaughtered in parts of the world, reducing the food capacity of this planet so that they can create another kind of a major world debacle. And no one's talking about this properly. So what I see is here, because this is a question that comes to me in different forms, but people are really shaken up by all this and worried about this, and they don't know what is the Dhamma position. Well, the Dhamma position is not to stick your head into the sand and saying, okay, this too shall pass. No, the Dhamma is engaged in that sense. Unfortunately, I do see bhikkhus and teachers who are just following the herd irresponsibly, having the show me where to sign attitude, falling in line. That is not the path of a bhikkhu. Okay? It has never been the path of the bhikkhu. The path of a bhikkhu or a Buddhist monk is to have a responsible role to say what is true, to make observations about the world that is going on around them, that is affecting the world, humanity. And boy, are these things that I just mentioned briefly are affecting the humanity, not of just today, but of tomorrow. I remember a few decades ago, the movie The Matrix came out, and people were saying, oh yes, that's a wonderful movie, very well crafted, wonderful storyline, this and that. Although many of those statements might be considered to be true, but many of them pushed it away and said, oh, this is a science fiction movie, that could never happen. Well, guess what? I saw an advertisement the other day online, a reputable organization in the world, in the West, that is promoting now the birth of human babies, the gestation period of human babies placed in transparent cocoons without the need of a mother to bear the child for those 9 months, that fetus. And then you look at the scene in the video that was done, the presentation, and the voiceover of this voiceover actress talking with the tone of one would say, representing a mother's voice, caring, compassionate, but normalizing this whole atrocity of what this really is, basically, which is a farming fetuses, human babies, test tube babies, in our lifetime. And on the other hand, you have people who are saying human beings are now the new product. You have this character who is, apparently he's even had a few retreats that he's done with the Goenka people in Vipassana, and absolutely shameful statement about now human beings are the new product. Yuval, I think that's his name. The spokesperson is the philosopher par excellence, I guess, for the World Economic Forum. An entity that just showed up and every world leader listens to for some reason and is not questioned for some reason. How in the world have we come to that low point in our civilization where a human being, so-called human being, who gets up and in such a methodical, such a cold manner, lifeless manner, get up in front of the press, in front of the world and say, well, this is what's going to happen. In 100 years' time, human beings will not exist as you know it. Well, who gave him the right? Who gave his bosses the right to make such a decision? To claim that a human being can be basically a product, is a product in his, verbatim, that's what he said. And this is a person that has been on so many panels, so many press interviews, and so much exposure. And he is now an authority. What a low point for us as human beings to get to such a level. Such individuals, such ideologies could have easily placed a person in a psychiatric ward. Psychiatric ward. They needed to be in a straitjacket for claiming such a thing, for even hinting at that. And now they're openly saying, and they're in such powerful positions. So it is quite indicative of the fact that humanity is living without any virtue. So this is why I wanted to address this question to you. My position, as far as I'm concerned, about this is, if they want to improve upon humanity, upon nature, then they need to go back and actually implant not a chip Not a neural link into their brain, but some virtue into their backbone. To live with virtue instead of living such shameless lives. And this goes through the whole rung of today's society. Virtue is lacking in humanity. Fix virtue, bring it back, reintroduce virtue. It's a win-win situation. That would be modernization of humanity. Because for the last 200-300 years, humanity has been going downhill in its evolution, in its consideration of nature, of ecology. Nature doesn't need your involvement. Don't touch anything. That's what happened for the first 6 months, 2-3 years ago, when everything was shut down. Everybody was talking about the skies, the carbon dioxide, this, that, oh, we're going to die, this and that. And then everything closed, and within less than 6 months, actually less than 2 months, the air quality improved drastically. The water quality improved everywhere. So leave things to nature. Don't mess with nature. You just work on yourself. Nature has got it right. Stop involving yourself. Stop messing with nature, polluting nature, and then blaming the common person for it. They talk about carbon emissions, but every time they have these World Economic Forum or any of these major meetings around the world, well, all of these famous people, how do they get there? On their private jets. Well, what does the jet fly on? Solar power? And then they blame the common person, and they do this in a very sadistic way, where everybody starts feeling guilty, on top of the fear that they have been infusing into humanity for the past decades. 2 states that are extremely dangerous for the mind, for the brain. It crushes you from the inside. It makes you lose hope for the future, your future. And then you start looking for outside sources, outside things that will come and save you, such as these agenda items that they're proposing to reduce the size of humanity by this much, new kinds of diseases coming in the future, the collapse, this, that. Everybody's afraid. Everybody's sitting at the edge of their seat. None of these things, none of them are positive. Even though they like to give you the idea that it's a positive thing that's happening. No. How can the reduction of people, elimination of people, this reset thing that everybody's talking about without using their brain cells, their common sense, and if they're going to reduce, I'm wondering how would they feel if their own loved ones were in the front line of the people who are to be reduced, quote unquote, reduced. Are they okay to send their loved ones to wherever or however, or whatever mechanism they're going to be using to, quote, reduce the public population? No, it's the other person. It's those people over there. We need to get rid of. This is deplorable. This is what criminals do. Criminals. To practice the Dhamma, the Buddha's teachings, to be on the path, also has a requirement, other than the basic requirements, having a healthy body, healthy brain, having food, having shelter, having a safe environment, having a healthy environment, planet. So these corrupt, these evil, I would even say, mechanisms that have been put into place and are now squeezing, tightening their hold, tightening, almost like a bottleneck, strengthening their hold, coming out into the open now. It's no longer conspiracies. These theories, they're actually out there. They're real. But it's the deluded public that is saying, no. Those are the ones who are sticking their heads into the sand and saying, no, this is not happening. This is only good is going to come out of this. Well, how? The number of depressive patients, the number of people who are constantly living in fear has exponentially risen to unimaginable levels. So, to practice the Dhamma, we need to be living in a safe, healthy, wholesome world. Overall, nowhere in human history that I know of, documented history, have we had a situation like this where the leaders, where those who are in power, the elite, had such corrupt agendas on a global level. Nowhere. That's why I feel the need to be discussing these things, because I don't see anyone else discussing this, openly at least. So we need to come back to virtue. If you want to really create a new human being, let us start with the virtue, Mr. Elon Musk. Your own virtue. How about you start controlling your own mind with what nature has already given you? How about we start with this planet instead of wanting to go to Mars? Instead of looking at a human being as a product, a consumer, looking at us as a potential for awakening. Awakening. That is the potential of each human being. And they don't realize how much of bad, a horrible karma they're bringing onto themselves, because this life is not the only life they're going to be living through. The moment they close their eyes, they will open it. They will open their eyes in the worst, unimaginable pain they can. It's unimaginable. But they don't realize the damage they're causing to themselves first, and also, sadly, to others and the planet. So this is a call for some people out there in those positions to wake up. At least one person. Because the way the planet is going is not good. The virtue is lacking. Not technology. Technology without virtue is a nightmare. Nightmare. Nothing good can come out of technology or science that does not include virtue. That's why in ancient Greece, philosophers used to spend so much time on talking about virtue, try to live it, try to inculcate that quality in people. Where is that in today's Yuval getting up and saying a human being is just a product? That's a new low point for human beings. I'll stop here. May it be helpful.